Molly.
I'm Jane.
We're also known as Camp Lovesick.
This week, what we're going to be doing is taking these old pallets
and turning them into beautiful counters for our kitchen and our bathroom.
I know last week we said that the pull-out couch we made was probably the best thing we'd ever made, but I think that this week these counters are even better.
This is definitely the best thing. So let's get to it. So to actually take off the counter is pretty simple. There's just a couple screws holding the frame and the countertop together. So all you have to do is undo those screws and undo the faucet and the sink, detach those. Once everything's detached, there is caulking around the whole thing. So you'll either be able to pry that up and rip off the caulking, or you'll just go around the edge with an X-Acto knife, depending on how strong and how good quality your caulking is. But otherwise, it'll just come right up. So I'm going to be keeping this because I'm going to be reusing the sink. I'm going to refinish it. I won't be reusing the faucet, but I'll give it away for free so it doesn't go to waste, as it still works. And then I'm going to keep the counter because I can use it as a template to make sure that my sink goes back in the exact same spot as before. This is way easier than doing the math. Just trace it out and cut it. So we are in the process of taking out the stove. We are keeping it, don't worry, but we're taking it out so that we can take out this counter and redo this counter just as we redid the bathroom one. So I did want to show you one tip. It's pretty self-explanatory, taking off the top, the grate, taking off the knobs, everything like that. We encountered one roadblock that we've problem solved, and this is what it is. This is just the original stove from 1999. It has never been taken out. So this was very, very tight. So normally all you have to do is just go in with a wrench and turn this and it will come loose, but ours was not coming loose and it was seemingly almost going to bend our piping and everything about the stove. So in order to problem solve this, you have to have this wrench here holding and then this wrench here turning. So as you're kind of turning this one forwards, you're pushing back and holding the system in place. And then you'll get one big pop. We've already had ours, so that seemed less dramatic. And then it will be loose and you can actually just twist this off by hand. Not only is that going to be helpful for replacing the counters, but we can actually now thoroughly clean this. So when we put it back in, it's going to be like it's a brand new stove.
Taking apart the kitchen sink is pretty much the exact same as taking apart the bathroom sink. You just have to untwist both of these and the sink will just pop out. And taking out the faucet. The sink is fully detached now, so the last step is to just use an X-Acto knife and go around the caulking so that it's easy to get out. Once we've taken out the stove and the sink, it's super easy to take out the counter. There's just all of these little screws under here, so as soon as we take them all out, the counter just pops out. And that looks super easy because I already did it once. It was a lot harder the first time, but I wanted everyone to think that was cool, so no struggles here.
Wow, look how easy.
Wow.
Amazing, those muscles, my God.
Out.
And again, we're going to be saving this so that we can build a new countertop on top and use this as a template. So, to the garage.
To the garage, baby.
So we're very excited because we've just started experimenting with what we want to do with the counters. We're not super big fans of this weird scale like laminate that they chose in the camper. So we're gonna go for a wood. I don't know if you've ever heard of wood, but we're gonna do that. So we have some pallets that we scavenged and we're just quickly chopping them up just to see and play around with what we might do for the counter. So sneak peek. This is gonna be a thing. So we took our board that we chopped off from the pallet and we figured out which was the thinnest of all of them so that we made sure that we could cut them all to be the exact same width. We put it up to our table saw and we wanted to cut off about this much from each side so that we have these even edges. So we did that, we measured it, chopped all of them once on the one side, took them back, did the same thing on the other side, chopped them all again, and now we have a bunch of boards all the same width.
This looks too chunky for us. We want it a little thinner, so let's cut it one more time.
Okay, so we've ripped down all of our boards. They're 1-inch pieces and we're really liking the look of it.
Now we just have to spend some time chopping the ends off so that they're 90-degree angles and there's no gaps when all of the wood butts up against each other.
Because we're using reclaimed wood for our countertops, the pieces end up being very different thicknesses. In order to have a smooth, flat countertop in our bathroom and in our kitchen, what we're going to be doing is cutting down all of these pieces to be the exact same thickness. We want to keep one side that aged nice wood and only cut the back side. So what I've done is created a little jig for myself. Just 2 pieces of wood in an L shape that are glued onto a 2x4. And then as I'm cutting down my pieces, what I do is I decide which is the uglier side, slide it into my jig like this, and then run it through the table saw, keeping my fingers away.
So we've just done the math and we figured out that we've cut just under 200 of these pieces. Jane, how do you feel about it, Master Cutter?
Well, when I close my eyes, I see wood pieces. When I open my eyes, I see wood pieces. Never ends.
So many pieces.
For us, it's a little silly to go buy something new when we have something that we could make work. So how we're going to adhere the wood to this countertop is through construction adhesive and through a method called keying. So we're going to key this countertop, and it's exactly like it sounds, something that you never want to happen to your car. We're going to take this razor blade and cut up the top of this countertop as much as we can, and that will provide enough grip for the construction adhesive to actually sit and adhere to. We went ahead and found the center point so that we know where to build our herringbone off of, because we want it to be nice and straight. So now, a fun little trick is if you take a Post-it note, knowing that the corner of the Post-it note is a 90-degree angle, and you fold it perfectly in half, that then creates a 45-degree angle. So if you take that and line it up with your center point line that you just drew, and then unfold it, you now have an arrow that points exactly down the center line so that you understand how to work your angles off of it. Realistically, once I align the first pieces, that's gonna really create my template that I'm gonna work off of for the rest of the pieces. But if those first pieces aren't perfectly aligned, everything's gonna be wonky. So this is just a nice way all the way down for me to check back in to really try to make sure my alignment is good. Okay, so that took quite a lot of patience and a lot of time to dry fit all of this. But now that we know we have enough wood, what we're going to do is take chunks of this off very carefully. This is a method that tilers actually use when they're typically tiling bathrooms and showers. So what you'll do is you dry fit all of your pieces, and then you just remove in chunks your other pieces to be glued. So you have about 15 minutes to be able to push these pieces around from when you apply the glue. So now that we've finished this first section, we'll take off the next section that will then use this section to work off of. So now what I'm doing by smearing it on with the putty knife is I'm forcing that construction adhesive to go into all of those tiny little grooves that I created while I was keying it earlier. So it's gonna provide way more of a strong bond. So now all we have to do is wait for this glue to dry. So we're just about to cut the counters. We're gonna do that with a jigsaw, but one thing that you can do is tape around where you're going to cut, and the tape will actually act to help keep the fibers together when the saw blade is pushing. So hopefully you won't get as much tear out.
Look at how good that is! Oh my gosh!
Faucet in.
Oh,
Wow.
Watch the hands.
So now we're going to cut down a 2x4 to create the trim to go around the counter.
It really brings out the beauty of the wallpaper.
Awesome.
What an improvement from before.
Thanks so much for watching. watching. In order to get this video out on time, we really focused on finishing the bathroom counter.
So if you want to see how that turns out once we have our waterproof sealant on it, be sure to follow us on Instagram because you can also see how we have our kitchen counter once it's all done.
Next week, we're gonna be making this huge wood quilt for the back wall in our bedroom.
It's going to be beautiful. Can't wait.
See you then.
Bye.